Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, it is the show, folks, and it's also Memorial Day in the United States of America. And Memorial Day is not just about veterans. It's not just about combat veterans. It's about the people who have served in our military, who have both fought and also paid the ultimate price for our freedoms. They've passed away. They've died. We're memorializing their sacrifice, a real sacrifice. And the men and women that serve and fight and live. Everyone carries their memories, folks. It is Memorial Day, memorial. So welcome to the show. It's going to be a show like any other and unlike any other because it is on Memorial Day. I want to welcome everyone to the show. We've got X, the preparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, and also Facebook and everywhere else. And XX. So everyone, welcome to the show. We're going to just get right into it, if we shall. We've got Uman. Jolene is busy with some some holiday functions. Tomorrow, I am going to have a holiday function and will not be in. So we'll go tonight, and then I'll be back dark 30 Tuesday morning. Got a lot of water fun and water training tomorrow. In any event, it is Memorial Day. Semper Fi to all veterans, and a big prayer goes out of here, right? And a big thank you to everyone who has sacrificed so much for our liberties. Liberties that the Democrats want to take away. Liberties that the Democrats don't want us to celebrate. Liberties that the Democrats don't want us to believe are real. Freedom, liberty, restricted government. All of that. That's what the Constitution was about. That was what the revolution was about. And that is why Americans fight so damn hard for our country. In any event, it is your show. So super chat button is right up there. If you want to get on the screen with your questions, your thoughts, your comments. And to start off the show, I think we're going to do chin music. And this right here is a shot glass. And he did $55.56 super chat coming out of the chin music. 556 is the millimeter designation by NATO for the round that goes into the M16. So thank you for the recognition there, Chin. Semper Fi to you as well. All Americans, all patriots, all sportsmen, all constitutionalists, all Americans. All right, let's get the show on the road. Woo! Mr. Uman, we're right at 100 people live as we get to Chin's question, comment, thought. Let's get it out. And this is going to be, I think, 4 parts. So Chin says, so now that Harmonica McIver has been charged, she went on CNN and sang. Let's be clear about something. Democrats have now done the following. This is going to get juicy. Let's continue, Uman. 1, they raided an immigrations and customs enforcement facility and accosted federal law enforcement officers in the line of duty. A judge has helped a trafficking gang member and violent woman beater evade arrest in her duties as a judge. We can't have a country where truth doesn't reside. Dollar Store Obama went on TV and said, none of us saw what we saw. McIver, this is the felon who was caught on camera, multiple cameras, assaulting and interfering with federal law enforcement. McIver told CNN the body cam footage was doctored. They are now so brazen in their lies, there is no hope they will return to sanity. And what we're talking about, what Chin Music's talking about, this sanity is the mainstream media, the Democrats in Washington, the hardcore corrupted and compromised Republicans, right? And the bureaucrats and the judges and the voters who voted for these people and keep voting for this, right? There is no hope they will return to sanity. Why should they? Literally, why should they return to sanity? Why should they listen to truth and fact when they can fabricate what they want and just make shit up? So Chin Music continues, says, this argument has to go beyond words since words have no meaning. To these raging lunatics, get ready. That is, I can't agree enough with this. Words have no meaning when you can change the meaning whenever you want. Whenever you want, you can just change the meaning of a word. A man is whatever you want it to be. A woman is whatever it wants to be. Remember when Bill Clinton was impeached back in the year 2000? Was he sanctioned or disbarred? I can't remember. I think he was just sanctioned, but for playing a fucking word game, saying, well, it depends on what the meaning of the word is, right? Parsing words down, making up new definitions. This is what government does. This is how out of control government is, right? Dollar store Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. Discount Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. He is an absolute lying sack of shit. McIver is saying they doctored the footage. Okay, so the mainstream media has doctored the footage that they've shown of her assaulting the agent, trespassing, interfering with official duty, trying to break and enter into a federal detention facility. Yeah, so law enforcement will, and the news will as well, right? I do know that law enforcement plants evidence on people and doctors' evidence, changes evidence. I know that. But the body cam footage, that came out pretty quick. And I'm sure that there's witnesses as well. You see, it's not just body cam footage. It's witnesses. And there were a lot of people witnessing this. Anyways, thank you for the great super chat donation coming right out the gate, Chin Music. Look out. And returning to sanity, it's not going to happen. There's no need. There's absolutely no need for these people to let go of their insanity. Their insanity. There's a super chat button right up there, folks. Get you on the screen, and your donations go into the John Spam, Tuna Fish, and Scotch Fund, which really is up to you guys, and you do a great job keeping us live on the air, keeping the bills paid, the lights on, and the news coming. Now, I want to, before I get on to Darcy T's super chat, I want to cover, just to make sure everyone understands, these people are insane. They're not just evil, they're insane. Politicians, bureaucrats, judges, the media, and the voters who vote for this left-wing lunacy. You see, if anyone argues with them, they'll just say you're lying. They'll just change the meaning of the words. I mean, they've taken it so far that they justify within their own minds flat-out murder. A transgender fruitcake male, this is a man who thought he was a woman, has been charged with murder for stabbing his wife to death. So he, at one point, married a woman. Then he decided he was going to be a she and probably started wearing women's clothes and putting on makeup and talking like a woman. Well, the justification for stabbing his wife to death, she said, right, the murderer man said his wife was transphobic. So he stabbed her to death. Folks, trannies are murderous. Have you seen enough yet? I think it's going to get much worse. Just as Chin Music asked, are you ready? These people, the sanity has left the plantation. I think it's going to get a whole lot worse, right? What was their motto? Love everyone, love everything. It's all about the love, right? So much for love everyone from the Flaggett community. Once they're offended or you don't buy their bullshit mental disorder, they will lash out. They will commit crimes. They will murder you, and they will even commit mass murder. A man marries a woman, makes a life together. That's how that's supposed to be. You live together, you sleep together, you work together, you pay bills together, everything you do together. You're right, supposed to be together. He fucking stabs her to death because she was transphobic. Could it be that this tranny was whacked out of his fucking mind on drugs? Could it be that this tranny was an emotional roller coaster fucking moron? Just spewing hatred everywhere and lies and bullshit. Maybe she got sick of his crap. Maybe she criticized him once and he said, "You're transphobic." And that's it. Now it's stabbing time. That's who these people are, folks. That is exactly who they are. Now, moving on to more things, we've got a $50 super chat donation from Darcy T. And she's back. 15 years Scotch, single malt Scotch on this Memorial Day super chat laden zoo program. Oh, I tell you. Here's to you, Darcy T, to all Americans, veterans, patriots, constitutionalists, and just good old lovers of the red, white, and blue. Woo! I'm telling you, it's like mother's milk. So Darcy T says, "Good evening, John. Here is my question for tonight's zoo. Contained within the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was just passed by the House of Representatives, there is a constraint upon the states where they will not be able to, quote, enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act." Isn't that a mouthful of fucking bullshit? That is standard legislation. You're like, how do you interpret that? What exactly are they talking about? So then it goes to some bureaucracy, and they'll tell you what they really meant when they wrote this shit. States cannot enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models. So AI is above states. See, I don't know if this passes the 10th Amendment thing, but let's continue with what Darcy has to say. She says, so AI, artificial intelligence, can only be regulated by the federal government for the initial 10-year period, and nothing can be done by the states. Judging from our past administrations, this will end up being a disaster. I believe it will cost the American people their privacy, freedom, and so much more. Yeah, there is no way to get legislation that just says, we're going to do our jobs. We're going to keep illegals out, right? Everything has a caveat, a catch, right? So that they can make sure they continue to get their money, their power, their control, and we get screwed over. Yeah, I don't like this shit. I don't like it. Apparently there's some good things in the bill. And obviously there's things in there that are sneaky and underhanded and backhanded and not good at all. You and I don't get to vote on this shit, but people in Congress, they do. Right? A few people said they don't want to vote on this. Trump attacks them. The Democrats will just vote no on everything just to be just to run interference, just so that nothing good can happen. Never mind the bad side. Anyways, it is Sunday Night Live. It is the Memorial Day special, and it's your show. Super chat button right up there on the other side of the thumbnail in the corner. What do you want to talk about? And thank you, Darcy. What do I say about this? Fuck. Well, the scotch is really good. Artificial intelligence, I think, is going to be a failure on a number of different levels for a number of different reasons. I don't think it's going to be as smart as everyone thinks it is. I mean, already it puts 6 fingers, 7 fingers on people. It just makes things out of it. Does stupid shit. It's like, well, how can it be intelligent if it can't even see that? Like kids, no, you don't have 7 fingers. You don't have 3 arms. But AI hasn't figured that out yet. You can't hold the 2 or 3 cigars that are lit at the same time and be smoking them. Right? It just adds a bunch of weird shit. That's just that. Now, some bad things that'll happen from its successes. And I listened to a podcast on this earlier in the weekend where a commentator says, look, artificial intelligence is going to crack the encryption codes. And I thought, yeah, it makes sense. That's the idea behind encryption codes. Goes all the way back to the movie Sneakers with Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, River Phoenix, and a whole host of great actors. But it was about encryption, which doesn't really, it was, oh shit, that movie was from the early 90s. So when we bring it forward here, 35 years, what is encryption? Encryption is now what makes Bitcoin so safe. That's what makes other crypto coins so safe. Well, this commentator said, we don't know if it's going to be 6 months or 6 years, but sometime very soon, artificial intelligence and the supercomputers, the quantum computers, will be able to break the codes and steal everyone's Bitcoin. That means nobody is safe. No country is safe if they can be hacked using one of these quantum AI computers. Nothing is going to be safe. So when you talk about privacy, freedom, property rights, let's put stuff on the blockchain. That'll fix the world. Yeah, that'll make the world more. What's the matter with putting shit on paper, having it stamped, a seal, official signatures and dates, notaries? We don't need fucking computers that can be hacked, giving our property away because they've been hacked. In any event, artificial intelligence, I think, is gonna find its niche. But I think it can also be used to abuse us severely. And I'm talking about artificial intelligence making decisions for us with respect to laws and statutes, enforcement, maybe judicial decisions. Well, it can only make a decision based upon what it's been told, and what it's been told are the factors. All right. Well, it is Sunday Night Live. It is the zoo. And before we get to Uman's comment, be sure and share the internet address up there. Hit the share button down below. Be sure you subscribe and thumbs up everything. And Uman says, its intelligence is based on information gathering. If there's a lot of BS out there, it will return BS. Garbage in, garbage out. It can also be given an algorithm, a set of criteria on which it has to judge and weigh information that it can get by itself or information it already has. It has to weigh things, just like you and I weigh things. Okay, you're at the store. You've got little avocados in a bag, and you've got single avocados that are big over here. Which avocado do you buy if you're trying to get the best deal per pound? Well, you're like, well, this is a bigger avocado, but you get a few more of these. Well, this has a big pit, but this has little pits, but still, it's a much bigger object, right? So we weigh them in our mind. What's the better deal? How is AI going to do that? How does it know that it's right or wrong? Well, it doesn't. It's just going to take its best guess with a lot of information behind it. It's going to do it very quick, of course, very fast. but that doesn't make it right. It doesn't. It's going to be interesting, folks. We've got one hell of a world that is just, or shit has hit the fan. How about that? Shit has hit the fan. All right, Mr. Uman, let's do it. Who's up? Let's put someone from the crowd up here onto the screen. And it's Nancy Keg with a $20 super chat donation. And she says, for remembering on this Memorial Day all the veterans who gave their lives. Yes, all the veterans that gave their lives. Right? A lot of people I know down here in Florida went to the beach today. When I turned on the computer this morning, I saw pictures of the beach. But it was Omaha Beach in Normandy, where Amtrak's tanks that float rolled up to the beach, dropped their doors, and soldiers just got waylaid, slaughtered, trying to get on the beaches. You know, the thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans and Brits and even the French died on that day. That's D-Day. And that's not what Memorial Day is about. It's about all veterans who died in all wars. How about all of the Americans that died fighting the Civil War? You know, was it fought over slavery? Was it fought over money? Was it fought over control of the economy, the control of resources, the control of people? In my opinion, it was all those things. And hundreds of thousands of people died. Crazy business, folks. Thank you, Nancy, for a very generous super chat donation. Really appreciate that. Where do we go next? Well, how about, since we're talking about war and veterans that have died, Russia is moving into Donetsk. I've heard the number 100,000 Russian troops moving in close to the border between the former Ukraine provinces, but what are now Russian Federation states. They're moving in close to the Ukraine border, right? They're creating a buffer zone, or a DMZ, if you will, a no-go zone, right? And it's in, Kharkov and Sumy. Now, I remember months and months ago, maybe even throughout the last year, that, well, Russia was basically defeated. I had heard that Russia couldn't supply weapons, or Russia couldn't recruit soldiers. And, you know, but it seems to me that the mainstream media, the European Union, NATO, and the Biden administration all lied to us. And then just a few days ago, it is alleged that Zelensky and Ukraine tried to use a drone to shoot down the helicopter that President Putin was in. Now, neither side is claiming that the drone was there. Neither Ukraine nor Russia is saying they shot it down. But there are reports coming out that this has taken place. Now, shortly thereafter, it was supposedly took place on the 20th of May. Shortly thereafter, there was a huge bombing campaign by Putin and the Russians. It sounds to me like that would kind of explain why they had such a energetic bombing, was the attempted assassination. Once again, another attempted assassination on Putin. How many times has that guy had an assassination attempt? That one. Several in the last couple of years. I remember when they tried running into his car and killing him that way. He knows. I'm pretty sure he knows that they've got their sights on him. And Zelensky, I also believe, wants World War III with Russia. I think that if they surrender, they come to terms of peace, you know, Ukraine and Russia. If they come to terms of peace, then the war emergency will be over in Ukraine. That means they'll need to hold elections. That means the country of Ukraine will not re-elect Volodymyr Zelensky because of what he's done. He has committed genocide against his own countrymen, right? The little butt pirate has killed more than 1 million of his own people fighting a war that he never was going to be able to win. And if they don't sign up for peace, and Russia has moved 100,000 troops to the border zone, this buffer zone, this DMZ, Russia is about to open up a Kremlin-sized can of whoop ass on Ukraine and Zelensky. And if that happens, Zelensky is going to have no choice but to sacrifice his people and further genocide, right? Because he's going to want to keep his head on his shoulders. But yeah, if he surrenders, it's over. When the media hoopla is over, the lights go dim, and Zelensky thinks he's going to go live in one of his mansions that you bought with your tax dollars that got sent over there, he will be creamed. He'll be wiped out very fast. If you want kind of a look at how he'll be killed, watch this movie called The November Man. It's about the CIA and their dirty little fucking games they play over in Russia. That particular movie was about the Chechen War, but how it wasn't started by terrorists, it was started by the CIA. And at the end, the Russian general who was responsible for working with the CIA, well, it's an interesting movie. It's got some good action in it, some good spy shit, very interesting stuff. In any event, I think that we're going to have trouble in Ukraine. He doesn't want to surrender. And they actually think, the Ukraine people think that they get to dictate the terms of their surrender, right? If they want to have a conditional surrender, they've got to give something up. But they don't get to tell Russia, you don't get the Crimean Peninsula, and you have to give us the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. You have to give us this and give us that. No, not at this point. Russia has lost so much Russian blood, Russian soldiers, Russian equipment, and Russian treasure. Not to mention Joe Biden and the United States Treasury stealing $350 billion in assets held in banks that was Russia's, and the Treasury, they froze it. They stole it. I don't think Putin in Russia is very happy at all. So, folks, World War III. I don't want a single American killed over there in that country. And Memorial Day, we've got enough to memorialize. I don't think we need more stinking wars. Since I've been born, folks, we've had the Vietnam War, the Gulf War I, Gulf War II, War on Terror. We almost went to war with Iran. We almost went to war with North Korea. I don't know what the hell to call Libya. Syria is definitely a war. That's just my lifetime. You know, good golly. All right, let's continue if we shall. Mr. Uman, have we got a super chat out there? Hello, it's Robin Free to Be with a $50 Memorial Day special super chat donation. And Robin, that means a Glenn Levitt 15-year for me. Let's not go too fast on these today, folks. This is 3 and 30 minutes. I am not going to be allowed to legally drive. Therefore, I will not be driving. Anyways, Robin, I really appreciate the great support you've offered, as well as bringing differing opinions, thoughts, ideas, and then putting them in the comments. Because we can think them and everything, but when you put them in the comments, people read them and learn from them and then share them. And so thank you for sharing everything. Woo! Good golly, Robin, that was a good one. And this is what she has to say on this Memorial Day. Robin says, OpenAI co-founder. OpenAI is another artificial intelligence system. OpenAI co-founder wants to build a doomsday bunker to protect their scientists from the rapture. Is all hell going to break loose? What do they know we don't know? Or are they nutty scientists? Now, this is interesting, Robin. I'm going to say this. Even nutty scientists can be right. A lot of people believe that Einstein had a couple of screws loose, right? Nikola Tesla. A lot of people believed he was full of shit and crazy by claiming he built a spaceship, went to Mars. He was listening to a radio broadcast coming from Mars and the moon, right? He was going to transmit electricity wirelessly through the air. He must be crazy, right? So those are just a couple of old examples of nutty scientists. But we've got something interesting going on in the world right now. I'm going to back up the bus, beep, 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 and talk about CERN, which is on the Swiss-French border. CERN, where they have a super collider, the Large Hadron Super Collider. And these wacko, crazy, ridiculous screwball scientists, Robin, said that they're speaking with intelligences from other dimensions. What does that mean, right? Are these aliens from outer space? Are these dead people? Are these demons and spirits? Are they truly interdimensional beings? Right? But that kind of ties in with this comment about the rapture. The rapture. Well, if we've got supernatural beings, supernatural meaning not biblical in as much as science has now found a way to drag supernatural things that we can't normally produce on our own, but using this high-tech, super high-powered, atom-smashing, collision, energy, hadron collider bullshit, they've opened up a Stargate, a gateway between dimensions, between times, between worlds. And do these beings come back and forth? Were they already coming back and forth? Are they the aliens that we see flying around in their little spaceships? Right? But if the rapture, by the way, folks, is a Christian belief that all the good Christians will be called up to heaven before very bad things happen, before the 3.5 year tribulation period. That's what the rapture is. So, did the AI computer read the Bible? Did the AI computer read Christian literature? Did the AI computer at OpenAI, did it look at what evidence, information, propaganda that CERN has put out? Is it combining all that information and saying, hey, you better get some bunkers ready. There's going to be some shit going down. What do they know we don't know? Well, what we know, Robin, is they've got an awful lot of secrets. We don't know what they are, but we can take a wild guess. The same reason we could guess the FBI, thanks Kash Patel, thanks Dan Bongino, are still releasing documents that are fully redacted. They black out every line so we can't see who they're talking about, who the victim was, what was done, nothing. They just black it all out. They hide it. It's like, well, then what that means is you guys are in on it. You're a part of it because you're just protecting yourselves and your buddies. Well, what are they keeping us out of, Robin? They're keeping us out of Egypt. They had this thing where apparently, 1,000 feet under the pyramid, there were 8 shafts. Where'd that all go? Did Zahi Hawass, the minister of antiquities in Egypt, did he kick them out off the Giza Plateau? How about the South Pole? You sail there and you climb up the ice wall and you head out across the snow. And a couple of years ago, they had all kinds of trouble down there. We had Kirill, the Russian Pope. I'm just going to call him the Russian Pope, Eastern Orthodoxy religious leader. I believe Putin himself went down there. Buzz Aldrin went down there. Obama went down there, I believe, during his presidency. John F. Kerry, the effete, fucked up snob, Democrat, asswipe, jackass, went down there. Many, many, many people did. But I think Buzz Aldrin, the second man, no, he was the third man on the moon. The first man was the cameraman. Second man was Neil Armstrong. The third guy was Buzz. Anyways, Buzz, I think, almost had a fucking heart attack. Weird shit going on at the South Pole. CERN, right? CERN, once again, the Large Hadron Collider on the border of France and Spain, says, hey, we got interdimensional beings and entities that are here now. Oh, that's fucking great. Great. Good job, guys. Why don't you keep doing that? See what else you can cause to come through. Maybe Godzilla, right? Maybe a nice, big, fat, juicy black hole. Wouldn't you think that very advanced technology, if they're sitting in their dimension, wherever the heck that is, in their world, wherever the heck that is, doing whatever the heck it is that they do, realized these ridiculous human beings, these strange hominids from the three-dimensional plane called Earth, now have access to get into their world. They're like, look, before they drop a fucking nuke through the hole on us, maybe we ought to send something through against them. Anyway, yeah. Robin, I think they're nutty. And it's an interesting subject and one that I wish I could spend more time on with you guys. But we're gonna hold off right there. And having a scotch with that question really made it a lot more fun. Doomsday bunker. Everybody has doomsday bunkers. Do you? Right? Now, not everyone can afford a doomsday bunker. How do you do one? How do you get into it? You got to have property. You got to have enough money to buy a round giant pipe, a big 12-foot or 10-foot conduit, and weld a bunch of ends onto it. And you got to have a pipe that goes out through into the upper, or you bury the square steel containers, the shipping containers, or you do it in cement, right? You excavate a big hole, pour a cement floor, block up the walls, pour them full of steel and concrete, and then pour a roof, and then cover it all in dirt, plant some grass on it, set up your motion detectors, your flares, your trip alarms, and well, apparently the scientists want to go into a bunker because they've done something they ought not to have done, at least according to the AI. Anyways, great topic. I just want the truth, folks. I just want the facts. I just want to make the best decision I can for me, my family, you, part of our country, right? For freedom and liberty. What's the point of living if you can't really live? Ha! All right, oh man, he says we've got another super chat. Let's get to it. And it's Dan the Man Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. He says, if AI was so smart, it should be able to explain how the Egyptians built all the structures with copper tools 4,500 years ago. You know what's amazing, Dan, is if you really go down that rabbit hole, the Egyptian rabbit hole, the evidence of tunnels and underground structures at the Giza Plateau is off the hook. You can go on a regular tour and see evidence of entrances that go underground. On top of that, you can go and see where there's evidence of technology for cutting stone. There's so much the mainstream media, and of course, Zahi Hawass, the Minister of Antiquities in Egypt, they don't want you to see. They don't want us to talk about it. It doesn't become part of the textbooks. Like the precision with which the pyramids were built is incredible. Its relation to the North Pole, mathematics, tetrahedral mathematics is phenomenal. The precision with which the stones were cut and laid is incredible. And the sarcophagus inside, the sides of it are so flat, right? Now, how do we make a straight line? Well, with a straight edge and a pin, right? Well, how do you make not just a line, but rather an entire surface of a stone sarcophagus perfectly flat? It's very incredibly difficult. And they're going to do that with copper chisels, copper tools, hammers. The explanation we're given for how they did it is a fucking joke. How they did it for real, I had a doctor once sit down with me and say, John, they did it by crushing up coral and other, shall we say, stone. Limestone, which is lime, which is part of concrete and cement. And they mix that with other materials. And basically, the pyramids are a cementous product that were then cased with a limestone casing, which has been removed and hauled away and used for other building projects. Yeah, how do they really do it? Again, maybe AI will. Maybe we should ask Dan, AI, tell us about this, tell us about that, and see what it knows. See if it knows about the milling equipment that's there at the pyramid. See if it knows about all the cave entrances. See if it knows about the hollow chambers under the Sphinx. Ask AI if it knows about the vertical shafts underneath Khafre's pyramid. Ask, right? See what it knows. I just haven't taken the time. In any event, Dan, thanks for the great super chat donation and question and topic. It's that kind of a day, folks. It is Sunday Night Live, and I want to thank all of you for being here. We've got 250 people live on a Memorial Day. Now, I suspected that we're not going to have the best turnout because it is a holiday weekend. And at least down south, the weather's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. But the world of humanity, the world of people, not so beautiful. The Southern Poverty Law Center is adding Turning Point USA and Prager University to its hate map. Well, Prager University is a Christian private university, and Turning Point USA is TP USA. That is Riley Gaines, the swimmer girl, who's trying to get men out of women's sports. That's Charlie Kirk, who has spent a lot of time on campuses trying to talk some sense into these kids. And he really did a hell of a job. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point did. Getting these kids to wake up, start thinking, and even vote for Trump. So the response to that, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, says that they're upholding white supremacy. That's right. A Christian university is upholding white supremacy. Turning Point USA is upholding white supremacy. Folks, the SPLC and the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, are anti-American. They're anti-constitutional. And they're pro-Israel scumbags. And they seek to destroy Christianity. That's what they're about, because Christianity and the Constitution is what America has lived with. That's how it was started. That's how we maintained our liberties better than any other, modern civilization. So they're attacking us that way. A hate map upholding white supremacy. Speaking of white supremacy, though, guess who made an appearance in Kansas City, Missouri? I always thought Kansas City should be in Kansas, but apparently not. Kansas City, Missouri. The Patriot Front showed up this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and did a parade yesterday in Kansas City, Missouri. They showed up wearing their khaki pants, wearing their black shirts, wearing their little hats, wearing a white scarf over their face, right? Carrying their little flags and insignias. The only people that wear scarves or masks are criminals and Democrats. I find it very hard to believe that these are actual white supremacists. I just find it hard to believe. Now, I know a lot of people believe that that's exactly what they are, who they are with this, but they disappeared when Trump was elected until now. I really think something completely different is kind of going on. Oh, by the way, fuck the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League, because they're a bunch of political fucking hacks. That's exactly what they are. I believe that the Patriot Front is an FBI organization that probably has some white supremacists in it, probably has some neo-Nazis in it. But it seems like they went away for a while, didn't they? Until they've surfaced in Kansas City. I think that in the FBI, I think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have lost control. I think the deep state has regained control. Whatever was going on in the FBI since Trump took office on January 20th, I think it's been settled. The deep state has won. Epstein files have not been released. Politicians are not being held accountable. Money laundering, bribery, and graft through U.S. institutions is being killed in the Senate. They will not pass the big, beautiful bill, folks. Not that I think it's a great, big, beautiful bill, but it's not going to be passed by the Senate. The deep state controls the FBI, in my opinion. I think they won a nice false flag with these white supremacists so they can continue to say white supremacy is the problem in this country. I think they want their riots in the summer of 2025, if not late spring. Yep, I think the FBI is back out with their Patriot Front because they can keep it, well, under their control. I really think that's what's going on there. Now, when it comes down to violent rioters, I think we do have a problem. Antifa and the trannies, the LGBTQ crowd, were in Seattle and they caused nothing but trouble, right? A peaceful Christian gathering. You could call it a rally if you want. They were in Seattle Park. They had their permits. They had their permission. What's wrong with Christians going to a park to have a Christian rally? Nothing. But Antifa showed up and a bunch of transgender freaks showed up. And what did they end up doing? They ended up attacking Christians. Did Christians go from town to town, burning Main Street, looting stores, murdering people, setting homes and police vehicles, police stations and courthouses on fire? No, that was Antifa and BLM and transgenders and liberal college students. But this is what's going on. They want their riots. And yes, the left is going to be there. Why doesn't the Patriot Front go to Seattle? Why doesn't the Patriot Front go to Portland, Oregon? If that's where the anti-American fruitcakes are, and Patriot Front wants to be patriotic, why don't they go to where the action is? Right? I'm just not buying it. If you want to solve the problem, go to the cities where the fucking problem is. But I don't think that's what they're there for. I do think that the Patriot Front is an FBI-based, deep state-controlled organization. I also think the same thing about Antifa and BLM and all the tranny, fruitcake, LGBT types. I think they are sponsored, supported, and given directions by CIA, FBI, infiltration. That's what I believe. Right now, with respect to Antifa and BLM and Christians and white supremacists, have you heard enough of this bullshit yet? Right, I'm going to ask you, have you taken enough shit off of these liberal, evil assholes yet? I think the time is coming for a purge. And you and I, all of us, we all know who the problem is. Who are the problem groups, the names of the groups, what cities they're in. We all know who the problem is. The question is, are you and me going to do anything about it? Or are we just going to have to wait and then wait some more? I think that's what's going to happen. Hey, Mr. Ooman, let's do a super chat. What do we got? Pow, 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 pow. And it's Boomer with a $20 super chat donation. Boomer, thanks for showing up, man. Hope you're having a good Memorial Day or a day akin to that up there where you're at. He says, it was great to see how Trump exposed these South Africa killings, but disgusting to see the reactions from the mainstream news, claiming that bodies were not buried at the crosses. They're missing the point. Oh, it's beyond missing the point. The crosses placed on the sides of the road are placed there. A cross for every person that's been killed. They did not bury the bodies next to the road. That's not a practice, but a symbolic placement of the cross so it can be understood by people who are traveling. That's exactly what that's about. The mainstream media, they're fucking morons, people. They are. Now, back to Trump. Trump invited the president of South Africa to come to America. So he is coming to America, invited him to the White House for a sit down with the president. So he did. He came to America, came to the White House, had a sit down with the president. And then the president of South Africa denied and lied about the genocide, the call for genocide, the call for murder of white farmers in South Africa. So President Trump, knowing that the president from South Africa was coming, that he was coming to America, that he was coming to the White House, and suspecting that he was going to fucking lie about all of the death that's going on, the deaths, the cold-blooded murders, the robbery and theft of property and real estate, as well as the rapes of the women and men as well being raped. This is a horrific scenario that is playing out and has been playing out for years in South Africa. So Trump suspected this fucking idiot would show up, and the look on his face when Trump called him out and the discomfort with which he squirmed in his chair, he looked like he was in one of those hemorrhoid commercials from the 1980s. The amount of squirming he was doing. Trump said, lower the lights, and they showed the videos, not only of the crosses, but of the singing and jubilation amongst these anti-white farmer racists who are calling for their murder, their genocide. It's not just people on the street, these no-name idiots that get on social media and say, hey, you know, we outnumber them, we should just kill them and take all their shit. The government of South Africa is allowing it. The government of South Africa is allowing them to steal their land from them, steal their property, their tractors, everything. And everyone, Boomer, is missing the point. If they are a Democrat, or if they're a rhino, if they're anti-Christian, anti-white racist, they're all going to miss the point. But you see, they don't need to get the point. That's not their purpose. That's not what impresses them. What impresses the left is to destroy the concept of good, decent people. And for some reason, just in the last 5 fucking years, since the George Floyd incident, there has been a push, a worldwide, planet-wide push against white people. Remember the Coca-Cola bullshit? Be less white? The diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI bullshit, right? Get rid of white people. Get them out of there, right? We need to put people of color everywhere. Well, how about just people who are qualified. No. People of color, right? It has to be that. If you think that this is about the mainstream media, maybe we're missing the point, right? If we expect them to see it, the point is they don't care. The point is they're pushing an agenda regardless of the facts, regardless of what you know and what we're sharing. And that's why what we're doing here, Boomer, is so important. The Prepared Mind channel, you guys, and everywhere on social media, YouTube, X, right? Rumble, BitChute, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere we're at, by sharing reality, you're helping people that are only seeing one side get the full picture. A lot of people out there don't go to social media, right? They don't see a whole lot there unless we put it in front of their faces, right? They're not out looking for the facts. They're like a dog. They're eating whatever is put on the floor in front of them on a bowl, if they're lucky enough to get a bowl. It is it's a very scary time, folks. When you got the government against you, elected, the government appointed, the judicial branch going nuts, the mainstream media, the willing carriers of all lies, carriers, repeaters, and spreaders. And then the technocratic oligarchy in Europe and America. It's taking our money through government programs. You said Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid. Trillions of dollars have gone out, and they're saying they don't know where it went. Bullshit. They either direct deposit it into an account so they know where it's at, or they sent a check. And once that check is cashed, they know who that check went to and where it was cashed at or deposited. They know who the money went to. They know who the fucking liars are. Don't be fooled. They know. And the fact that they're not willing to arrest them, and the fact that the Senate and the House of Representatives are not willing to take the Department of Government Efficiency findings and write them into a law prohibiting those organizations from giving money away or even existing, just getting rid of them. We're in the fight for our lives, folks. The fight for our lives. Washington, D.C. is one big, stinking, organized crime mafia. A huge mafia organization that's run by mafia maniacs out of Israel, England, Washington, D.C., of course, and Davos, Switzerland, and the Vatican, and the city of London. That is one giant crime family. In fact, Giuliani, right, he has plans. If he is appointed as special counsel, Rudy Giuliani has plans to prosecute the Bidens and others. I say put him in, coach. Put him in. Giuliani, as a federal prosecutor, went after John Gotti, Italian mafia, organized crime, huge crime family. Giuliani was unafraid, and he brought the mafia down in New York City. I say put him in. I say make him special counsel. He has fucking good cause, good reason to go after the deep state, fucking Nancy, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bidens, everyone. Because they shit on him, they destroyed him, they put him in jail, they fucking arrested him, they took his money, confiscated his property, ruined his fucking reputation. He's got good cause. If anyone has good cause, it's Rudy Giuliani. I think he ought to. He can't do worse than Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi. They're all losers, as Trump would say. I love it when he sees someone that's a loser. He's like, he's a loser, right? Kash, Dan, and Pam are losers. I say put Giuliani in. He can't be worse than them because they've done nothing. We have Pete Hegseth who's doing something. We had Tulsi Gabbard who's doing something. And Marco Rubio, as Secretary of State, is continuing to stomp on asses with respect to telling the media how shit works and making things happen. If they don't, folks, if Trump doesn't do something, we're going to run out of time. We're going to run out of people willing to stand up and fight back. We're going to have shit hit the fan really, really bad. It's nuts. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I tell you what. Mr. Ooman, let's do a super chat from the crowd. Hey, it's Dan the Man Erickson. He's back again with another $10 super chat. He says, my great Uncle Cliff on my mom's side of the family was an island hopping Marine in World War II. Semper Fi, right there. He said he must have seen some nasty stuff. He never talked about it ever. Then I'm going to pretty much guarantee it was very personal. And if he was in the Marines and he was in the Pacific, he saw some shit. From the first efforts at Guadalcanal all the way up through Truk, Guam, Iwo Jima, and there were a lot more besides Palau. Nasty stuff. Maybe it had something to do with Wake Island. I don't know. I mean, that's your family, Dan. It'd be great for you to get what information you can and write it down for posterity. I don't think that kids today can't fathom having to go to work to pay back their student loan, which they voluntarily elected on their own to take those loans out, to go to school, to get a degree in worthlessness. And they think that's hard. They think that's tough. One of my employees works with me. Instead of complaining about the cost of housing, he said, hey, I got 2 roommates. We're renting an apartment, a 3-bedroom townhouse, and it's going to put us at like $1,050 a piece. I said, $1,000 a piece is not a bad deal. I said, but if you try doing that all on your own, yeah, $3,000 a month just to rent a fucking townhouse, yeah, you can certainly see how that's just too damn expensive. But that's what these kids think. They think they should get everything right up front. They should get the little house with the white picket fence and yada, yada, yada in the car and 2.5 kids. They think they should get it all for free right up front without trying. I remember getting yelled at when I was 24 by a guy who was about 26 for saying I talked about my place. He goes, you own a house at your age? I was like, no, man, I fucking rent. Right? The guy was like 26 or 28. He's like, well, good, because I just barely qualified for one. You know, he's 28 or something like that. I bought my first house at age 26. Yeah, 1996. Right? And life is a struggle. But these guys, folks, if you've been to any of the Pacific Islands or any island anywhere that's tropical, but especially the Pacific Island, they're fucking jungles. They're swamps. They're full of God knows what creatures and diseases and shit, unless they're civilized, of course. Back then, they weren't civilized. The Solomon Islands, the Cook Islands, like you say, all the way back up to Japan, they were a fucking mess. Some friends of mine are from the island nation of Palau. Which is over there close to the Philippines. Philippines also, they got their asses kicked, right? Diseases, jungle rot, infections, not to mention fighting the Japanese, who were badasses. They were as bad, if not badder, than the fucking Germans and the Russians. It was just nasty. And these are the guys that we're memorializing today, Memorial Day, because they died fighting. They died defeating an enemy that was attacking us. Right? They died defeating an enemy that wanted to take over our country, take our freedoms and liberties. That's a big problem. Apparently, I'm still alive. You are as well. We're going to get our chance, folks. I really believe we're going to get our chance, and we're going to end up fighting as well. We're over the 1 hour mark, folks. We go 2 hours on Sunday Night Live. It is the Memorial Day special. So as long as there's subjects to talk about and we've got super chats on the board, we'll stay here. We'll stay here. It's your show. You get to talk about what you want. And I've got some stuff I want to talk about, though. Something that really got under my skin. Right here in the great state of Florida. Crazy leftist violence. Now, I thought, oh, yeah, okay, there's nuts in Florida, just like there's nuts everywhere. So some blue-haired, fruitcake, left-wing Democrat, but the Republicans are the threat. This Florida woman attacked an old man. What was the old man doing? He was wearing a Make America Great hat. So this woman attacked an old man. And then while in the process of being arrested, she assaulted the police. She was charged with multiple crimes, but then the judge let her go. This killed me. Now, I was like, where the hell did this happen? It happened in a little town called Largo, which is down by Tampa, over on the coast, in a very touristy zone place. The west coast of Florida is very touristy because of the calm waters of the Gulf of America and the beaches there, right? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. There's zero explanation for why this fucking wacko bitch was released. I know what Largo's like, folks. It's almost like a retirement community, right? So for me now, I am turning up my threat awareness in the state of Florida. I felt it was safer than anywhere else. I felt it was pretty darn safe, the area I'm at. It's very Republican. But now, if the little town of Largo can have some fucking crazy bitch go off and try and kill an old man and then assault police, and then some judge just lets the bitch go, we got problems, right? My threat assessment, threat awareness, and threat reaction is now on high. How about you? Where is yours? Are you prepared? That's a big question. Are you prepared? I think that we really need to have it together. Okay, Mr. Uman, what shall we talk about? We've got Boomer's back with another $20 super chat donation. He said, so what now for Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency? It seems to be slowly disappearing while Elon Musk looks to be stepping down because he had had enough of money loss and property damage. Well, I think Elon Musk was willing to spend the money on campaigning, supporting candidates, political candidates, and supporting the Department of Government Efficiency out-of-pocket expenses that he was dealing with. I think Elon Musk was more than happy to do the work, to spend his personal time at no charge to fix the country. But it appears, you're right, Boomer, that he's stepping down because he has uncovered trillions of dollars in theft, waste, abuse, fraud, money laundering, embezzlement, bribery, etc. And no one has been arrested. And nothing has been changed in the law by the Congress, the House of Representatives, or the Senate. He's fucking disgusted is what he is. Remember, he got out there on the campaign with Trump and put in countless hours. Then he put in countless hours finding all of these problems. got hairy balls and big balls, the entire Doge team. He has been stonewalled by bureaucrats, lied to by politicians, interfered with by judges, and completely demoralized by the Republicans in Congress. It's no wonder that he's stepping down. He's going to focus on Tesla. Now, Tesla was hurt for a while because of the Democrats, and then they realized they're only hurting themselves. Dumb fucks. But yeah, his businesses were damaged. Cars were damaged. His reputation, not damaged, right? But he's just been attacked. Personal attack, as well as death threats and attempted assassinations, which he has kept very private, right? So why should he spend his money? Why should he spend his time, invest it? Why should he do anything if Congress isn't going to lift a fucking finger? So fuck you, Maggot Mike Johnson. Fuck you, Senator John Toon, and everyone in Congress who hasn't stood up and said, we need to pass this into law. We need to remove these institutions. What institutions? Oh, the deep state. These institutions right here.
They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
The deep state, it's real. And this is what they've done. This is what they're doing. They're going to continue to fuck us over. And basically, they just pissed off Elon Musk, and out he goes. And Trump, I know he's been working his ass off, but I don't think he's doing enough. He went and embarrassed the living shit out of the president of South Africa. Good. Right? He went into Congress and got, the House of Representatives to pass his big, beautiful bill, but they changed a bunch of shit. Right? They're going to still tax Social Security, but they're going to give seniors a discount. They're going to give them a tax write-off. Right? They changed a bunch of crap. They haven't done shit. They really haven't done shit. They cut some spending, but they increased other spending. I hope you're ready for what is coming to this country. I really do. The Democrats are going to call for violence. Violence. They're going to call for a lot more violence. Hillary Clinton, before the weekend, Friday, she did a public address through social media. She called to all liberal, communist, Democrat pieces of shit. She wants them to ruin Memorial Day gatherings by insulting, intimidating, and attacking Trump, right? While meeting with friends, neighbors, going to cookouts, barbecues, picnics, etc. Her words, I guess in quotes, are friends, neighbors, cookout attendees. In other words, she wanted her left-wing cohorts to just shit all over Trump and make it a anti-Trump weekend. Trump didn't make this weekend about himself. He made it about veterans that gave everything, gave their lives. It's Memorial Day weekend. Hillary Clinton turned it into a partisan attack excuse. What I have to say is bring it on, you bunch of leftist, Marxist, communist attack dogs. Right? As far as Hillary Clinton goes, how is this not inciting violence? Because that's what liberals do. They don't like something, so then they say something. They don't like your reaction. They don't like that you're wearing a hat. They feel threatened, so they get violent. Knowing these brain damaged, injected with Jim Jones juice morons are becoming more radicalized and more violent. And she's encouraging them, just like AOC did. And just like discount dollar store Obama, Hakeem Jeffries, called for violence and said, don't you dare, don't you do it. Wild stuff. Good golly, folks. We're in big trouble. We're in big, big trouble. The government is not fixing problems. They're creating more for you. What do you want to talk about, folks? Super chat button right up there. Also down below, you'll see links for PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. And that's a great way to get your comments, questions, thoughts, prognostications. Get them on the screen because, folks, it's not just about sharing with me. It's about sharing with everybody. By the time this video is done, thousands of people will have watched it. It's not just tonight. It'll be in the middle of the night. It's going to be around the world. We've got people in Australia. We got people in England, Scotland, Ireland, the Netherlands, France, Germany, Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Canada, of course. And did I say Mexico? Yeah, you bet. We're all around the world, folks. So your comments, your questions, your thoughts influence the way people think. It gives them a broader, more detailed picture of how the world is going, right? If you painted a painting and you had one color, it wouldn't be a painting of anything, right? Just one thought, one color. Well, if it's three colors, so now you got some variety, but it's not a very detailed picture, right? So every opinion, every comment, every thought, every idea that you guys get here on the screen and down in the comment section puts more detail into the painting that we call SHTF. Right? It puts more detail out there so people can think. You, my friends, are educating the world, whether you know it or not. People will take ideas from you right here, and they'll take them to other websites, other social media networks. They'll take it on Twitter. They'll put it on, well, it's X is Twitter. They'll put it on Facebook. They'll put it on Instagram. It'll go everywhere. And you are making a difference using your First Amendment. But eventually, folks, we're going to have to use the Second Amendment. Eventually, we are. Ah, fuck. Okay. What do we talk about? What's next? What do you want to talk about? Man, pull one out of the hat, if you will. Who's up next? And it's phlebitis. He says, Meg America is awakening to the fact that Trump has, once again, staffed his administration with idiots and non-hackers like Patel, Bongino, and Blondie Bondi. How can I argue with that? How can I argue with that? Trump sits down. He's got his chief of staff, his assistant chief of staff. Actually, I like his assistant chief of staff, Stephen. Fuck, I can't remember his name. The Scotches are still working. Right? Is it Stephen Miller? Or no, Miller's his other attorney. In any event, they sit down and they go, who do we want to be in this position? Who do we want in this position? Who do we want here? Well, I tell you what, he's done a great job. He talked Elon Musk into finding out who's stealing all the fucking money, who's wasting the money, who's laundering the money. Well, Congress failed Trump on that one. Then we go over to Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Great pick. Whoever thought the Secretary of State would be someone you look at and go, that dude's kicking some ass. Tulsi Gabbard, another person I thought would have been shit. She's done great. She's swept away security clearances for all those fuckheads on the Steele dossier that have been trying to get Trump thrown out of office, the deep staters. They removed Susan Rice and other anti-American communists. Pete Hegseth has been fucking great, right? He's turned the military back into a masculine ass-kicking machine, at least psychologically. And trust me, folks, you pick up a rifle, you put on your uniform, you go out with your squad, your platoon, your regiment, and if you don't have a sense of camaraderie and purpose and unity, if you don't have those things, you're going to get fucking killed because you won't trust anyone. But when it comes to domestic law enforcement, figuring out what the hell is going on in this country and doing something about it, that is the Department of Justice. Well, the Department of Homeland Security, we have Kristi Noem. She's done a pretty good job with Tom Homan, trying to get the most violent of these fucking criminals out. Meanwhile, they're being impeded by judges and lawmakers and the media. But it is the judges. But Kash Patel, is a weak, sniveling pussy. Dan Bongino is a weak, sniveling pussy. And Blondie Bondi Pam is a fucking camera hog, narcissistic, do-nothing bitch. That's it. And those three people, and the reason Dan is included just as a deputy director of the FBI is because he talked so much ass-kicking, you can't fucking stop me, I'll arrest everybody. And they failed us. All three of them have failed us in the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office. The FBI turned and stayed the FB lie. They lied to us. So I know what you're saying. And yes, America is waking up and they're pissed, especially the Make America Great Americans. Right? I've seen more of this the last week. And that's that we need another political party. Right? They did the Reform Party, as I've described back in the 1992 campaign. And they ran it twice with old Dumbo ears, Ross Perot twice. Didn't do any good, right? Failed. But the Republican Party does not represent me or you or America or the Make America Great Again Patriots or the America Firsters. The Republican Party represents itself. It's the grand old, I'm going to fucking collect all the money I can and bribery and payouts and just take care of myself and pay lip service to the Constitution and pay lip service to your rights and pay lip service to the country. But all they are Democrats in sheep's clothing. That's it. We need another party. So I've seen this emblem, right? Instead of a fucking jackass, the Democrats, or fucking elephant, which there's no elephants on this fucking continent. So, hey, why not make the Make America Great Again logo a lion, right? Now, remember, there was another great president that was not happy with the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. Before it was the GOP, it was just the Republican Party because it wasn't old yet. Now it's the grand old party, the GOP. But get this, right? It was called the Bull Moose Party. And Teddy Roosevelt ran as a bull moose, right? And he took a fucking bullet in the chest and lived. Control of this nation, folks, is paramount for you and me and our freedom and liberties. The Democrats certainly fucking hate you, hate me, and hate this country. And the the Republicans just pay lip service. That's it. That's it. Phlebitis, great topic. Now I'm pissed off, man. I'm fucking irate after having thought about all that shit. Yeah, we need a third party. At this point, why vote Republican? They do jack shit, right? Am I right? When I think about your fathers, your uncles, your granddads, great-granddads, your entire family history, when they served in a branch, whether it was Marines or Army or Navy, whether they're Air Force or Coast Guard, it doesn't fucking matter. Whether they were colonial military in 1775 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, doesn't matter. Right? They fought for this country, and the Republicans don't give a fuck. The Democrats don't give a fuck. Why should they? They're only in it for themselves. They're serving their masters who have paid them off. They're bought and paid for. They're fucking prostitutes. They're hookers. And you're paying the fucking bill. They suck up to England. They suck up to the Vatican. They suck up to Israel and Mossad. They suck up to China. It's completely awful. All right, Mr. Ooman, we're just about 90 minutes into the show. We've got another 30 minutes plus to go. And Blue Cord Devil checks in with a $50 super chat donation. Pow! And I have just the ticket for that to maybe help me relax a little bit. Got a Glenlivet 15 single malt scotch right here. And there it is, Blue Cord Devil. He says, John, here's to all my brothers and sisters that never made it back home. Yeah, a lot of women have gone into the service support side and got the shit blown out of them and attacked and killed. And they were willing to risk their lives as much as anyone else to do their part for you and me and our children and our grandchildren. Here's to all of our servicemen and women that never made it home. Semper Fi. Blue Cord Devil says, I know too many names. May they all rest in peace, and may peace be on their families. Amen, so mote it be. All right. Thank you, Blue Cord Devil. It is. And here at the 90-minute mark, folks, just kind of have a moment of silence. Just a few seconds. Think about what it would be like to lose your spouse or your son or daughter or your parents who served. Thank you. I lost relatives in war, and I had relatives that served in World War II. Both my grandfathers. My uncle fought in Vietnam 2 tours as a Marine. My ex-wife's granddad fought on Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima. It was because of that I thought that she'd be a good one to marry, because of his lineage and how badass he was. But I had another uncle. He was a helicopter pilot in the Army. He got shot down in Vietnam. My granddad was shot down over the Pacific in his plane in World War II. My great uncle fought in World War I. Anyways, Memorial Day. Thank you. Let's I'm gonna need to change the topic here. I'm gonna get pissed off and lose my shit. Let's switch over to economics and shit hitting the fan, folks. I'll ask a question. Why did the financier, the titan in Wall Street, billionaire, hedge fund owner, manager, Ray Dalio, why did he buy over $300 million in gold recently? Folks, Ray Dalio is famous. He appears on television shows. He doesn't do a whole lot of appearances on YouTube. He's not that kind of a guy where he goes on and talks to us little people. But he does go on the television. And of course, it's for publicity, so people will use his hedge fund. But when an insider, a Wall Street insider and billionaire, buys gold at the scale in the amounts that he's bought it, he knows something that is coming is big, and big. And he doesn't want to miss it. But think about it. If gold was just a barbaric relic, as it was described decades ago, if it wasn't a pet rock, as has been described, why are banks buying it by the fucking ton? because there's something is going to happen to the value, the cost, if you will, relative to the dollar or the euro or the yen or the yuan or the rupee or the ruble, right? It's going to go up. And Ray Dalio doesn't want to miss it. Ray Dalio didn't buy $319 million in Bitcoin. No, he bought gold. What does gold know? Gold knows when the economy is going to go bad. Gold knows when there's going to be a banking crash. Gold knows when unemployment is too high. Gold knows when the deficit, the national debt is too much to sustain. Gold knows and sniffs all that out. But gold really doesn't do the work. People like Ray Dalio do. And also Warren Buffett. There's been an awful lot of, how do we put this? Speculation, if you will, about what is Warren Buffett doing. Now, Elon Musk is allegedly wealthier than Warren Buffett. But what does Warren Buffett have that Elon Musk doesn't? Are you ready for this? Cash. Cash. Elon Musk bought Twitter, which is now X. He bought it for what, 40 or $44 billion. He didn't have it in cash. He had to raise that money. He had to get investors, right? That's how that worked. Warren Buffett, I believe, has over $250 billion in cash sitting there right now. What has he been doing with it? What does he know? Well, a lot of people believe he sees the system crashing, the market coming down, and he can buy it up. Right? There's a lot of speculation out there that he is going to wait for that event. Also, it's understood that Warren Buffett is an American, and he doesn't want to see the entire system come to a complete grinding halt. So he has all of that cash. Is it 200, 250, $300 billion to keep the system from failing so he can bail out the system? But a lot of people don't know that Warren Buffett in the 1990s bought hundreds of millions of ounces of silver. He was trying to corner the silver market. He works in a clandestine fashion, right? Typically, he doesn't like precious metals, gold, silver. His dad, Warren Buffett's father, back World War II era, was a big gold guy. Warren Buffett has stayed away from it because he didn't believe it was productive, right? Gold you buy and you just sit on it, and it protects your wealth and purchasing power, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't do anything. So he felt it was better to invest in companies that produced jobs, wealth, income, et cetera. But now Warren Buffett has changed his tune and what he's doing. And he could be, once again, cornering the silver market and participating in the gold market. Because we're going to get, folks, like it or not, the Great Reset is upon us. The Great Reset is upon us now. I'll say it again. The Great Reset is upon us. Will it be a monetary reset? I have no doubts. 100% we're going to get a monetary reset. The United States is no longer going to be the world reserve currency, the currency of choice that has to be used to settle all international debts. That's going to fall into local trading agreements and gold. But we're in this great reset, and it's not going to be some unilateral thing where all the banks and all the continents all work together to fuck all of us little people around the world. I'm of the opinion that Basel III, which is a rule created by the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, or Bank for International Settlements, is the banker's bank, the central bank's bank. It's kind of like the fund or the bank. And they postponed their rule. They were on July 1st going to update the rule and bring it into action to make gold, right, this asset that all countries can use. Well, they postponed it again. The reason is they believed that it was going to cause Europe to have a banking crisis. The next day, Trump slaps a 50% fucking tariff on Europe. I think in response to that, because it once again puts America at a disadvantage to Europe. By Europe and the biz, which is located in Europe, in Basel, Switzerland, it gives them an advantage to take advantage of us. And so all countries are fighting for self-preservation. And do not forget, folks, that as shit has hit the fan, gold is always gold. And the president of the United States has talked about gold. Everything's gold. Instead of an iron dome like Israel has, he wants a golden dome. Right? He everything he has appears to be gilded, right? Covered in gold. And he made the comment the other day, a couple of weeks ago, in fact, that he who has the gold makes the rules. Basically saying we in America have a shit pile of gold and we're going to be the ones making the decisions. Well, there's also China is supposed to have a whole lot more gold. They're the number. It's huge. There's going to be a giant pissing match, in other words. We're having a great reset, like it or not. Money is going to be one of the things that gets reset. Political unions, political alliances also are going to get reset. The European Union is, well, it's a lost fucking cause. It's a broke organization. It is authoritarian at best. At best, it's authoritarian. At worst, it's completely socialist and anti-individual, pro-state, which is communism. So why should America associate itself with a body like that? So we're going to have a lot of realignments. Technology is huge, right? This AI thing is going to be a big part of the Great Reset, as well as strategic minerals and metals. Right on Friday, I don't know if you caught it, but finally, and I've been waiting for this since I think 2016, 17, the United States government has said we're going to fast track nuclear energy, uranium production, uranium enrichment, and create nuclear power plants in this country, new ones, bring them online, because we're going to be short of power with all this AI demand and EV demand of power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen and heard how India do not inhale liquids. India, Germany, Western Europe, Texas, and other areas around the world have had massive failures in wind and solar power. While it's nice and supplemental, you can't rely on it. It's not base load. A lot of it doesn't work at night. A lot of it doesn't work at all. A lot of it's seasonal, meaning you need sunshine. Right? So here we are, folks. We've got one hell of a reset. It's coming. Are you prepared? Because it's not all fucking rainbows and unicorn fart dust. It's not that. The rich guys are going to cover their own asses, protect their own assets, and want to ensure a system exists in which they can thrive. So Warren Buffett may help America, but he's going to help himself in the process. Same with Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, any of these billionaires. They're going to be looking out for themselves first. So look out, folks. We, the people, are always the last to benefit, if ever. If ever. And I've seen how this works by living in extreme rural Northern California. I'd hear about a recession. We would feel the recession long before anyone else. The money tightens up. The construction would stop. The spending would stop. The vacationing would stop. All the money would go back to Sacramento, the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles. Tourism would stop. And then you'd hear, oh, we're coming out of the recession. And me being out in extreme rural California. Well, okay, so it's it's 1994. The rest of the world is doing better. But how come the money's not being spent? Well, it takes a couple years to make it out, right? The rich people got to take care of themselves first and their businesses and then their general area. And then the money spreads out and prosperity is good for everyone. If we go down into this serious economic SHTF system with all of the political violence that's just waiting to erupt, we could see a prolonged and extended, very difficult economic hardship, monetary hardship, as well as social hardships and legal hardships, because the government doesn't seem to understand what law and order is about. Okay, Mr. Uman, you have to pardon my cough. Do not inhale liquids. I'm not a fish. Who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? Oh, my goodness. Hey, it's Boomer. He's back for a third time today. $20 super chat. And if you've got something to say, super chat button's right up there. And he says, what I hate about holidays commemorating our war dead is that they're probably all turning in their graves right now. I can't even watch a war movie anymore because of this. I sympathize and understand with what you're saying. I've commented for years saying if George Washington heard what our presidents are doing, if Thomas Jefferson thought about what our legislature, our parliamentarians are doing, if Chief Justice John Marshall knew what the fucking Supreme Court was up to and all these federal judges, he'd lose his fucking mind. John Adams, right? All of the people, these great intellects who created the Constitution, if they saw what was going on in the country, if Audie Murphy saw what was going on, right? Smedley Butler, Dan Daly, and these are old super military heroes, folks. Go back to Andrew Jackson, who was both a military hero and an amazing president who destroyed the bank and saved our country for a few more decades, at least at that time, right? They would just be fucking disgusted beyond belief. Literally disgusted beyond belief with what this country has begun or become. Especially the military, especially the politics. As far as the people go, would they be disappointed in us? Some of us, sure. Others of us, they would say, yeah, we get it. There's not enough pain and suffering yet for America to stand up for itself, or Canada, or Australia. England is just now starting to do it. Ireland is just now starting to do it, where they're rising up as a people, and they're going to get rid of their Muslim problem, folks. Trust me. The rest of Europe is also pissed off. The Prime Minister of Italy, Meloni, she is absolutely irate because the failure to assimilate and abide by the law by these immigrants. No, we have to get rid of them then. In any event, watching war movies, I used to watch them because it celebrated the suffering and the commitment and the sacrifice and the discipline that all military people have. Right, the Army, Marines. The movies I grew up with, right? The Flying Leathernecks, right? The Sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne. Apocalypse Now, which is just an odd movie. Full Metal Jacket, of course. Platoon, I think, is one of the greatest movies about war because it was so fucking realistic with the conflict between the soldiers there's so much to it, folks. But now, looking at what's going on, right? These people, the men that fought in World War II, over in the European theater, that was Americans and Canadians who joined the English, and what little French resistance was there to smash back into the Germans and drive them back to Berlin. And then in the Pacific theater, we had the Australians fighting with the Americans and the Chinese against the Imperial Japanese fleet and force. And, they did it not so that faggots could walk up and down the street with their dicks hanging out in front of children's faces. That's not why they did it, right? They didn't storm the beaches in Normandy or Iwo Jima or Okinawa. They didn't do that so that we could go to the beaches on our weekend just to have a barbecue. They did it so we could be free always and in all places. And listening and looking at these fucking leftists is disgusting. If it wasn't for them, we'd be fine. If it wasn't for these fucking camel jockeys running around screaming Aloha snack bar and killing all the men they can and raping all the women they can, we would be fine. So why the fuck is it that the governments want these fucking weirdos in our countries? And why do they keep allowing sodomites and Satanists and fucking pedophiles to run free, terrorizing us, while the government themselves, the people in the government that have been elected and appointed, steal our fucking money by the millions, billions, and even trillions? It's not just that they would be disgusted, our military, right, over their sacrifice in war, but it would be, what has our country done on the side of peace, which is supposed to be law and order, truth and justice, equality for all. It is a shit show. It absolutely is. Good golly. Okay, Mr. Uman, let's do it. What do we got out there? Who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? And holy cow, it is Dan the Man Erickson, and he's back again with a $50 super chat donation. $50 or more is a scotch, folks. And I was just getting a little parched, Mr. Dan. So I'm going to pour myself one, and I want to thank you for supporting this channel along with everybody else who has been supporting the channel, the message, the mission of waking up America and getting it prepared. And once you're prepared, fighting with your First Amendment until we have to fight with our Second Amendment. So, Semper Fi to you, Big Dan, and all of your family that loves America, and all of our families, all of us loving America. God bless you all. Semper Fi. Whew. Dan says, my rifle range is always open on Memorial Day. Hoorah! He says, taking my semi-auto Colt M4 with an Aimpoint Pro red dot sight perfectly sighted in at 50 yards. Gonna try my suppressor I legally got after 5 months waiting on the ATF approval. Resight, maybe. You'll find out. If you've got a 1-inch minute of angle at 50 yards with that, you should be fine. If it's a professionally built silencer, you should be fine. Suppressor silencer, you should be fine. I mean, if the tolerances are really loose, it won't be as quiet, but it'll affect the bullet less. You'll find out. And it may just be a minor adjustment. In any event, you do what you have to. Everyone. Food. At this stage of the game, where we're at, seeing what I'm seeing, I'm going to recommend a minimum of 6 months of food. That includes carbohydrates, proteins, and vegetables. They can be canned. They can be dried, right? Get 6 months minimum. Water. You need the ability to find water, purify it, remove impurities, and sanitize it, making it safe for human consumption, either through a serious RO type membrane, boiling, or chemical treatment. Food, water, shelter, your house. Not only does it, making a house bulletproof is rough, right? But your house as a bunker, as your safe zone, the place where you, your family, your American ideals, your human desire for freedom and liberty, right, rests on your home, your bunker. Back, thousands of years ago, cavemen, you wanted your cave. You would get a cave to protect you from the weather and help you defend it, right? Know your neighborhood, know your area, know your neighbors, so that your house becomes your bunker, your fortress. Food, water, shelter, clothing. Have the appropriate clothing. Comfortable, warm, or cool as needed. Boots, protective gear. Right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. Go to the preparedmind.club. Look up medical on there. We sell first aid kits. There's a way to get antibiotics, and you need other things like horse paste, right? Look on there for everything we can find for you guys for medicine. And if you've got prescription drugs, my recommendation, somehow, legally, lawfully, without bending any rules or hurting any feelings, get enough medicine to make sure that if logistics go down, you'll have enough medicine to make it through some tight times. And of course, means of self-defense, as Big Dan the man just described. Whatever weapon you have, make sure you know it, understand it, that you're trained, that you're safe with it, that you know your limitations as well as your expertise, and use it wisely when the time comes. And your plan right there. All right, Mr. Uman, that's good stuff. Thank you. And that Scotch hitting the spot. We got less than 10 minutes left in the show, folks. Less than 10 minutes on this Memorial Day special of the Zoo. I want to thank you guys for showing up. Anybody has something to say? Super chat button's right up there. And I want to talk a little bit about something, the judicial insurrection. It is continuing. It's persisting. It's growing. Now we have a Clinton judge. Hell, the Clinton judges they stopped being appointed back in 2000. 1993 to 2000 is when Clinton judges came in. This judge blocked Trump's reorganization plans for 20 federal bureaucracies. He wanted to reorganize them. We're going to fire these people, bring in more. We're going to change things around. Now a judge has stopped the president. Now apparently federal judges determine if the president can even manage a bureaucracy. Like what? Like you said, or the Department of Homeland Security, or the FBI. The president can't do anything. They can't even manage it, much less get rid of it or defund it. Right? He's not canceling them. Right? He just wants to manage them. They're saying, nope. Trump can't make any decisions without some slime bag fucking judge saying it's okay, huh? Folks, that's where we're at in this. The judicial insurrection is now trying to stop Trump from even managing the fucking bureaucracies. Unbelievable. Truly, it is to me unbelievable. And government itself, right? Not only are the judges impeding, interfering with, and committing, in my opinion, fucking treason. Politicians are calling for violence, and not just Democrats. Did you know that there's a Republican politician who threatened to call an assassination against Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna? That's right. A Republican is threatening a fucking Republican. Threatened to call a Russian Ukraine hit squad. And what does this fucking clown get? 3 years of prison time for threatening a federal politician with a very real threat of bringing in hit squads out of Ukraine. What is this Russian-Ukrainian hit squad? Russia and Ukraine don't like each other. Basically saying, I'm going to get someone from Eastern Europe that doesn't give a fuck about you and will kill you for money. Yeah, he only got 3 years prison. He should get 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the rest of his fucking life. Life in prison. You want to threaten politicians? That's interfering with their duty and national duty, national security. Right? What the fuck is going on? And it wasn't a Democrat. It was a fucking GOP, a Republican politician. And it just speaks volumes about Ukraine. Russia is not going to come over and do anything to make America happy within its own borders. Right? But Ukraine, Zelensky, they would love to fuck with our politics, our politicians, and they are. All the money that goes to Ukraine to fund it, when asked about it, Zelensky said, I don't know where half the money went. $300 billion, and he doesn't know where half the money went. Tell me there's not a problem here. Tell me there's not a huge fucking problem. And that money got laundered in Ukraine, and a shit pile of it kicked back to the big guy and the Biden clan and the Clintons and Light and the Loafers Lindsey Graham and Mittens Romney and Pelosi and Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and every other pro-war politician in Washington, D.C. I guarantee those pieces of shit are getting political donations from foreign corporations, which is actually just American taxpayer dollars that they sent over there, and they're getting a percentage of it back. I know it. You know it. Everyone in fucking DC knows it. Doge knows it, the Department of Government Efficiency, and that's why Congress is going to pretend like they didn't hear anything about it. La, 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 la. I can't hear. I don't want to do nothing about it. We want it to continue because we're getting rich, or at least we think we're rich. Wild business, folks. Wild business going on in this country. It's falling apart, and the fucking termites are continuing to chew away at what little structure is left of this country. Good golly. All right. And just some regular SHTF news I'll finish the show out with. That Marxist pinko black commie bastard in Chicago, BJ Brandon Johnson, is a fucking communist mayor. He called Trump a fucking monster, a racist monster after that. Right? Because what? The Department of Justice decided to investigate his anti-white discriminatory hiring practices. Right? Equality under the law. Well, not when you're a black Marxist and you've got authority and you can claim that anyone who argues with you is a racist, right? Well, racists want equity, folks, meaning fairness. And fairness is 100% subjective. Fairness is not law. Equality is law. Equality under the law. These pieces of shit Marxists are not going to go away, folks. They're not. They're not. And let's see. What do we got here? Oh, just a few seconds left. I'm going to do this. Wild guess. And I believe it's Billy Joel is having all kinds of health issues. Seemed to me that there's quite a bit of Jim Jones juice fallout happening out there. Folks, it's going to continue. And I also caught something over the weekend that there's another strain of cerveza bug, COVID-19. It's out there. It's in America. It's free. And oh my God, it's dangerous. 5 fucking years ago, they started this shit. And they're still trying it. I sure hope that you are wide awake and you're not falling for it. Man, if we're done, if we're good on Super Chats, looking good. I want to thank everybody for participating tonight. Semper Fi to all veterans, right? Taps. Just do what you can to show respect. And I know you will. I know you have. And I know you always will. And also understand that our enemies have no respect. They have no dignity. They have no morals. And the fight, when it happens, is going to get dirty. Chance favors the prepared mind. I hope yours is too. God bless. God bless America. Thank you to all veterans and patriots. And in memory of all lost in war, Memorial Day greetings. Semper Fi.